Thank you for tuning in to Local SEO today. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode. My guest today is Noah St. John, known as the Power Habits Mentor. He helps his clients have better mind health and more business wealth. Thanks for being on the show today, Noah.
Well, it's great to be here, John.
I'm excited to learn a little bit about you, your journey, and what you're doing today to inspire a lot of your audience members and share with the audience members what you've done over the years. So can you let people know what people know you by today and how you got there?
Yes, absolutely. Well, as you mentioned, I am known as the Power Habits Mentor. I am known for inventing things like AFFORMATIONS and power habits and a lot of different systems, formulas, strategies that have helped our coaching clients add over $2.7 billion over the last 20 years. That's billion with a B. So we help business owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs. We work with athletes, celebrities, and we help people really to add, multiple 6 figures, 7, and yes, even 8 figures to their business using my strategies. So it's really been a very amazing experience. But we started very humbly, very, very humbly. In fact, I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood, and I know that's a total cliche, but it's true. I grew up in a little town called Kennebunkport, Maine, which just happens to be one of the wealthiest communities in New England. But my family was dirt poor, and I mean that literally, because we lived at the bottom of a dirt road in a drafty, unfinished house that my parents ended up losing to foreclosure. So from a very young age, John, I was painfully exposed to the gap, the chasm between the haves and the have-nots. The haves was everyone else in the community. The have-nots was my family. So, you hear these speakers get on stage or they go on interviews and they say, well, we were poor, but we were happy. We didn't know we were poor. Well, in my family, we freaking knew we were poor because my mother, bless her heart, reminded us every day that we were poor and miserable. So no, it wasn't happy, it sucked. So, I really hated that life of poverty and fear, lack, not enoughness. That's what I grew up with in my family. But yet I saw right down the street that there was great wealth and abundance. So I said, how the heck do I get from here to there? And so I really just did the only thing that I could figure out to do. And, for those of you who aren't familiar with my work or haven't heard of me before, people say that I'm probably the nerdiest nerd in this industry, meaning the personal and business growth industry. What I mean by that, and I think they mean it as a compliment, because they say that, I'm the guy that really rolls up his sleeves, get down to the nitty gritty, to the molecular level, so that I can really fix things when there's a problem, when people are facing an issue or a problem. I just really get down to it and really, help people fix it. Well, it started that way for me, and now I just help my clients do it. But my point is that as a nerd, I just went to the library and started reading every book that I could on personal growth and self-help. I started with Dale Carnegie, Napoleon Hill, Stephen Covey, all the classics, read every book that I could. And I just really tried to apply them, but I couldn't seem to get them to work. Nothing ever really worked for me. So at the age of 25, I decided to commit suicide. I decided to take my own life because I was so frustrated, depressed, lonely, and broke. And so I said, why am I here? I don't even want to be here anymore. Now, at the very last moment, my life was spared. I share that full story in my books and in my programs, but just long story short, my life was spared for some reason, and I didn't know why, but I decided to devote the rest of my life to serving God and serving humanity as best I could while I was still here on the earth. The only problem was I still didn't know I was here on the earth. I didn't know my purpose. And so I went on another long journey to find my purpose. Why am I here? And I read a lot of other, many more books on spiritual growth. This was, the first journey I took was like an outer journey. This is more like an inner journey, right? So reading books like Ernest Holmes, Marianne Williamson, Louise Hay, all the spiritual thinkers of our time, Deepak Chopra, and authors like that. And then anyway, another long story short, in 1997, I had 2 epiphanies that really changed my life and really showed me why I am here on the earth, gave me my purpose for the first time at the age of 30. And so I started my company, successclinic.com, in my college dorm room with $800 in a book on HTML. And I had no money, no marketing experience. I didn't know anything about sales or online marketing. There was no social media, no YouTube, no, blog, none of that existed. And so for those of you who've been online for a while, you may remember being online in the 90s, with the, remember that, and so that's all it was, so I unbeknownst to me, I actually accidentally ended up launching one of the very first business and personal growth websites on the internet, successclinic.com, and we're still here more than 2 decades later. And so now, as I mentioned, we've helped our clients add over $2.7 billion using my method. So it's really been quite a journey. It's been very rewarding, and it's had a lot of ups and downs, but now it's very rewarding. And one of the best things that we see the amazing results and transformations in people's lives, their businesses, their relationships, their health, as a result of using the strategies that I've been fortunate to really help people with. So it's really been amazing, and it's quite a blessing.
Amazing story, Noah. So I'm gonna take a step back, and maybe
Sure.
you can give some perspective of how life was living in that neighborhood where you see a lot of wealth. You see people driving nice cars, wearing nice clothes, interacting differently because they had stuff
That's right.
versus what you had. And then what happened? Like you mentioned foreclosure. Did you move out of that neighborhood?
Mhm.
What transpired afterwards?
Well, yeah, I mean, it really growing up in that way, in poverty, in my household, my family, my parents, bless their hearts, they worked really, really hard. See, this is another thing that I tell people all the time. Whether I'm doing keynote speeches or doing virtual keynotes or group coaching or even our private workshops or one-on-one clients, you hear all the time that the secret to success is hard work, right? We hear this all the time, right? We hear the gurus say it's all about the hustle and the grind, right? And so it's like, holy crap, but see, I grew up with seeing that. My parents both worked really, really hard, but yet they never succeeded. So I know that that's bull. I know that that's a lie. It has nothing to do with hard work. Because think about this, imagine, because what I often say is, building your business or really even building the life that you want. It's like building a house, right? I mean, there's a lot of things to it, a lot of things that can go wrong, a lot of elements to it, right? A lot of, let's just say, moving parts, right? But so what the gurus say is, well, just really, really work hard, take massive action. That's another great lie that we hear. Take massive action. Well, that doesn't make any sense, because if you don't have a plan and you're taking massive action, what are you doing? You're just busy slapping boards together and hoping a house shows up. Right. So one of the things that we teach now, with our clients, with our workshops, with our, corporate clients, individual clients, group clients, whatever it might be, we say, listen, you really need to have three things. You need to have the right plan, you need to have the right tools, and you need to have the right support. Those three elements are absolutely necessary for success. If you don't have a plan, you're slapping boards together, hoping a house shows up. If you don't have the tools, you're trying to build a house with 2 rocks and a stick, and if you don't have the right support, it's really, really hard to believe in yourself sometimes when life throws curveballs at you, which it does all the time. Hello, here we are. Pretty much the whole world has been thrown a huge curveball these days. So the point is, growing up in that way, I realized, I saw, very clearly that no, hard work is not the answer. I'm not bashing or saying you shouldn't work, or that the hustle and the grind is like totally wrong, but it's mostly wrong, because without a plan, without the tools, and without the right support, it doesn't really matter how hard you work. You're not going to get your results, or certainly it's going to be very frustrating. So that's why I share my story about at the age of 25 deciding to commit suicide, because I've been working hard for years and years and had nothing to show for it. And so I want people to realize that, if you're facing something like that or feeling something like that, I'm certainly not suggesting that anybody watching and listening is, contemplating suicide. I hope not. But I remember when I was feeling that way, I just wish someone would have told me that, number one, it wasn't my fault that I didn't have the right plan, the right tools, and the right support. And number two, that those things are out there. You can find them. There is help available. And that's one of the messages that I really want to get across to everyone.
Yeah, I think your journey has really allowed you to give you a better perspective in life. And you living like myself, I come from Vietnamese family that immigrated the war, and we lived in government housing, and I saw a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't have when I grew up. And that's a part of my life, my DNA today. And growing up like that gives you a lot of perspective. It grounds you to the level where allows you to really reflect on what you have versus what you don't have.
That's right.
And as a business owner, it's great. Everyone wants to aspire to be great, right? And, yes, money is amazing to have so that you have choice, freedom, right?
That's right.
But you also have to reflect to see what you do have and really slow down a little bit too, right? And figure out, like, be grateful for the abundance that you currently have. And really understand what matters in your life. People chase for all the wrong reasons, right? And you need to understand why you're doing it, what's the purpose, equip yourself with tools and support, like you mentioned, and knowledge, right? Like everyone needs all that to be successful in life. And it's, you hit it on the nail. A lot of business owners go blind. Yes, they read or they've been doing their daily activities so hard every day, and they lose focus. They have no clarity. They have no support. They have no systems, no process. They're just trying to do it all, right? So just having that mindset to take a step back, to understand and really learn how to run a real fine oil machine like a business takes time. And I'm glad that you're offering this, because this is a lot of business owners just don't understand what it takes to be successful.
That's correct. And, let me say this, first of all, I love what you just shared there, John. It's very, you have a very powerful story as well. And, think about this for everyone watching and listening to this program. If information was enough, right? If information was enough for everyone to be successful, then, we could find anything we want on YouTube, right? I mean, because if you go on YouTube, you can find anything. I mean, literally anything, right? How to make $1 million, how to do Shopify, how to do e-commerce, how to do Facebook ads, how to do YouTube. I mean, just anything you want, how to make money online, how to lose weight, how to get six-pack abs, how to have a happy relationship. I mean, you can find 10 million cajillion things, right? So if that's the case, then why isn't everyone rich, happy, and thin? Right? Why isn't everyone killing it online? Why isn't everyone a millionaire? Why doesn't everyone have six-pack abs? Why doesn't everyone have a happy relationship, right? So think about that. It's because that information alone does not create change, right? If information alone created change, we'd all be rich, happy, and thin, right? So this is one thing I've been teaching for more than 2 decades now to my clients. And this is one of the reasons, of course, that my clients have so much success and get so much transformation, because information does not create transformation. If it did, we'd all be rich, happy, and thin. See, so that's the point, number one. So number two, based on jumping off on what you were just sharing there, John, is that one of the things that I teach, with our clients, whether it's our corporate clients or executives or celebrities or pro athletes or CEOs or business owners or stay-at-home moms, one of the things we talk about that I've been teaching for a very long time is this concept of what I call a freedom lifestyle, right? So when, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, why do we get into business, right? And 99 times out of 100, people do not answer, to make a lot of money. Now, of course, we all want to make money. That's very important. But that's not usually why entrepreneurs get into business. It's usually to make a difference, because they see a problem and they want to fix the problem. First, oftentimes it's themselves, whether it's, to have a better baby bag or to have a better purse, or, in my case, a better way to succeed, a better way to live life. So I found a better way. I discovered a better way. And then, of course, I just wanted to share it with people. But when you talk about living that freedom lifestyle, what I teach our clients is that it really has 4 elements. The first element is the element of time, right? Because imagine if you have $1 million in the bank, but you don't have any time to enjoy it. Is that like happiness? Is that freedom? Is that abundance? Of course not, right? Oh, I've got all this money, but gee, I don't have any time. That's not freedom. That's not fulfillment. And so time is, in fact, the most important element, because why? It can't be replaced. All of Bill Gates' billions can't buy 1 minute of yesterday. And so the funny thing about time is we all know intellectually that our time on earth is limited, but yet most of us act as if we're going to live forever, right? And that's why people put things off. Oh yeah, no, I want to write a book, or I want to have my online business, but I'll get around to it someday, right? And for many people, someday never comes, right? It just never comes. And look at all the huge billion-dollar or multi-million-dollar businesses that have gone bankrupt because of the pandemic, right? I mean, huge mammoth companies, because they did not adapt. They didn't pivot to an online structure. That's something that I've been teaching, my clients for over a decade, is how to have an online sales mechanism, but also an online delivery mechanism, right? So if you're dependent on offline, well, right now, a lot of them, many business, millions of business, through no fault of their own, are in big trouble, or maybe even not here anymore. So that's the element of time. The second element is energy, right? We all want to have energy, but imagine you have $1 million and you don't have any energy, right? I mean, that's no fun, and that's not a freedom lifestyle. So there's the two kinds of energy are positive and negative, right? So think of all the negative uses of energy, right? Like jealousy, resentment, anger, frustration, depression, sadness. Those are negative energy. But what's positive energy? Joy, gratitude, the things you were just talking about a moment ago, right? Focusing on what you have instead of what you don't have. So that's energy, and that's the second element of a freedom lifestyle. The third element is relationships. Relationships are so important. Imagine you have $1 million, no one to enjoy it with. What fun is that, right? That's not freedom. That's not happiness. So it's very important to have the right, to surround yourself, really. Like that's why we have our group coaching programs, like our Inner Circle and our 30K Income Secrets, because it's so important. And I'm like the perfect example of this, growing up in that environment of not enough-ness, right? And so like I'm on a mission to eliminate not enough-ness from the world, because I truly believe that if you look at many, if not most human problems, the problems that exist on the earth, I think many of them, if not most, can be attributed to the belief that there's not enough time, not enough love, not enough money, and so forth, right? Not enough energy, whatever you want to say. And then, of course, the fourth element is money. Money is very important. Anyone who says money isn't important probably doesn't have any, number one. Number two, the people who say money doesn't buy happiness, it always reminds me of the quote from that great philosopher, David Lee Roth, who said, money may not be able to buy happiness, but it can buy you a yacht so you can pull right up next to it. So that's one of my favorite quotes. But my point, you see, money is important if we want to live, if we want to have those options. So when people look at that, they go, wow, I never really thought about making sure that I build in my life the system so that I have the time, the energy, the relationships, and the money, so I can do and have the things that I really want.
Yeah, I've been really focused on like two things, relationships and experiences. Mm-hmm. And with money, it allows for choice. That's right. Choice is what empowers people, humans, business owners. Yeah, I have a young child, and I'm always trying to teach him like my good habits, right? Gratefulness, living with purpose, going out there, doing something, right? Like just enjoying it. Like these things I've learned over the years. And like an adult, as a parent, you want the best out of your family, right? The people that really make a difference in your life, right? So I love what you're talking about. I'm so in line, right? Mentally, I've been focused on exercise, health, like taking care of your body, and as well as like mental clarity, always knowledge, reading and educating yourself. But equipping yourself, like you mentioned, pivoting is vital, and understanding user behavior is more important than ever, because if you're in business and you did not transition properly, you've been left behind. And the businesses that are able to adapt, pivot, be nimble and project and forecast properly, they're the ones that they're going to succeed in the future, right? And you can't control what happened. You can only control what currently exists and what is going on in the future. And if you're able to, understanding the behaviors of humans better, you're going to excel in whatever aspect of business, life, personal, or, any part of life. So I love what you're talking about. Growing up, did you ever have like people that you looked up to or were business owners themselves, or people that were coaches or mentors that you gravitated towards besides books?
No, I only had books. And see, that was really, really tough. So that's why it took me much, much longer than I would have liked. Talking about time, like I did a moment ago, it would be nice to have a time machine and go back, right? And say, oh man, I wish I could change this and wish I could change that. But no, I never had anybody there until I was well into my 30s and 40s. And so, that's why I do encourage everyone to get the help that they need. Because going back to my point a moment ago about if, that information alone does not create change. And, another reason for that, John, is because, you can study and study and, watch YouTube videos till the cows come home. But if you don't find the reason why to make those changes, if what I call, because that's part of, one of the things that I teach in my books, like, Power Habits. So this is one of my new books called Power Habits, the new science for making success automatic. And one of the things that I talk about in the Power Habit system is this, this whole notion of, I call it find your because. See, the word because means your why to. Why are you doing this? Because if you don't find your because, your mission, your purpose, then it is very, very easy, number one, to procrastinate, right? To put things off, to just, watch Netflix all day long or watch cat videos on YouTube. I mean, my goodness, you could watch cat videos for the next 10,000 lifetimes on YouTube and never, you still wouldn't be done. But so the point is, what I've seen both in myself and in my clients who've really succeeded, using my system, is that they have that mission, they have that purpose. And going back to something I also mentioned a moment ago, usually for 98% of people, that mission is not, hey, I want to make a lot of money. Okay, because that, for most people, not everyone, but for most people, that's just not strong enough. It's not that it's wrong. Of course, we want to make money. Going back to what I said, I mean, it's the four elements are time, energy, relationships, and money. Money's right in there. It's very important. It's just as important as all the other ones. But saying that, I'm in business to make a lot of money, for most people, that's just not the right button. The button for most people is, I want to make a difference. I want to help people. I want to have an impact. So I always say to people, listen, whatever your button is, just find your button and then keep pushing it, because guess what? Life is going to push back, right? So it's kind of like, the Rocky movies. And, if you remember the early Rocky movies and, Rocky's out there and he's fighting Apollo Creed, or Ivan Drago or whoever it might be, Mr. T, right? And Mickey's there in his corner, right? So I'm like Mickey, I'm the trainer in the corner, massaging your shoulders, saying you can do it, champ. But, you, the business owner, you're there in the ring, you're getting, beat up a lot of times, or it feels like that sometimes. And so that's why you need to have that person, that trainer, that coach, that mentor in your corner, believing in you, having that support, as I call it, giving you the right support. Just because, frankly, sometimes life can throw some punches at you, and you want to be able to make sure you could take it. And then you start throwing some punches, metaphorically speaking, of course. But you start winning those rounds, and then you start winning the title.
That's amazing. I love the book title because again, I'm a big reader as well. So Simon Sinek, the Why, as well as the Alter Ego, they're great, right? I met him in person at an event, and it was great. Like he really nailed it in the wall. Like, what's your purpose? And not just business life, personal time. You need to figure that out, and it has to be very deep. And you need to really drive that home. And just like your because, right? Because why are you here, right? You got to make the most of your time. And with coaches, with mentors, they shrink time, right? It helps you elevate quicker to get to a point so that you are forced to either commit, to really take action and do something more with a group of people that are like-minded with the same kind of mindset. And that's what I feel communities, masterminds are great. And I think going with someone like you would help a lot of business owners or athletes or any professional, because it makes sense. I was very fortunate at a young age to meet a lot of business owners, to get a lot of wisdom from them. And that allowed me to get real life experience from people that I looked up to. And I was ultra curious. So for me, reading and just meeting great people was my kind of coaching.
Wow, that's great. Well, you're very fortunate. And I mean, I wish I would have had that at your age, because it would have saved me a lot of time. And as you stated, working with a coach or mentor, it shrinks time. Because, well, first of all, because there is so much information out there, most of my clients, most of the people who hire me are literally suffering from information overload. And they're like, who the heck do I listen to? This guy says do this guy says do that, this guy says do the other thing. And what I always tell people is, listen, basically at this point, everyone's right. So we're not here saying that this guy's wrong and that guy's wrong. What I'm saying is they're right, but they're usually right for themselves. right? So if you listen to the gurus who talk about the hustle and the grind, okay, well, that works for them. You know, like, for example, a dear friend of mine is Gary Vaynerchuk. Everybody knows Gary V at this point. Well, I met him over a decade ago. I have a video. If you go on YouTube and type in Noah St. John, Gary Vaynerchuk, you'll see a video of Gary V in my car. I was hosting him when he was, you know, just one of these up and coming guys, long before, you know, VaynerMedia and his $10 trillion empire that he has now. But, you know, he's always been the same person. He's a great guy, a brilliant man, but he just doesn't stop. And at one point in our 2 days together, I literally asked him, are you a cyborg? What are you? Because he never stopped, you know, and my point that I'm getting at here is, you know, if you're not that way, then don't try to be that way. I'm not that way. I had to take like 3 naps after being with him for a day. I mean, I just had to sleep for like 18 hours because I can't live that way, you know. Again, that's great that he can do it. But if you're not that way, then don't try to be like Gary Vee, because you probably can't, you know, because it's like, he's like a cyborg and, you know, bless his heart. But, you know, there's a lot of people out there that say, you know, you have to do it my way. And I don't think Gary necessarily says that, but I'm just saying that some people say that, you know, well, I did it, so you should do it my way. My thing is, well, just because it worked for that guy doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Okay. So you got to, you know, try on different things. But the point is that whoever it is, make sure that, you know, they align with your values, they align with your beliefs, they align with the impact, the difference that you want to make in the world. And number one, and number two, and this is really, really important, make sure they have a system, right? Because what we see out there in the guru space is what I call personality-driven success. All right. So you get the gurus out there and they have these larger than life personalities, right? So they're like, hey man, look at me. And, you know, aren't I awesome? Look at all my cars, look at all my cool stuff. And then they're like, yeah, that's great, man. How about me? Right? Because at the end of the day, I don't care about your cars. I care about my car, right? You know, I don't care about your house. I care about my house. I don't care about, you know, how much money you make. I care about how much money I make, right? And so the point is you need to look for people. So my point to everyone watching and listening is make sure you do your homework, go to their website and just click around and make sure that they have success stories, case studies, testimonials from other people, not just themselves, right? So that's why if you go to noahstjohn.com, if you go to our website, you'll see just dozens, maybe 100 case studies, you know, because I want people to realize, you know, if a nerd like me can do it, then anybody can do it. But that's the point. It's got to be a system-driven success, not personality, because guess what? If you don't have that personality, then, well, I guess you're out of luck. But if you have a system, that means you just plug in whatever you do or whatever you want to do, and then the system does the work. And W. Edwards Deming, many years ago, the management guru, he said that if you put a good person in a bad system, the system will win every time. And that's what I see a lot of entrepreneurs struggling with is they either A, don't have a system, or B, they're trying to follow a system that frankly doesn't fit themselves. So make sure you, number one, find a system, but most importantly, find one that really fits you, that works for you, for your priorities, your values, and the impact you want to have in the world.
That's amazing. I think personalization and lifestyle comes into play.
Right.
And I always talk about this in business. I've worked with thousands of business owners in advertising sales. And for me, it was all about like, everyone is different. They have different stories, upbringing, styles, systems in place, people that they serve, values that they operate in. And you cannot mimic them. No one can, right? They're in business for their unique reasons. So figure what yours is and find people that, you know, connect with that same value, and don't fit yourself and push yourself into something, force yourself. Like really look and reflect, right? Like take a step back and really see why you're doing this and slow down a little bit. A lot of people are like chasing, right? And I feel like everyone's always looking for the fastest, greatest, quickest $1 million out there. But nothing happens that quickly ever, right? You got to put in time, you got experience, you got, again, systems, people, processes, technology that can expedite, coaches, mentors, but find people that resonate with the values that you have. So I love that. Over the last couple of years, I know you've grown your business over the last couple of years. What have you done? What were some of the biggest transformations for you from a solopreneur to then building a team and doing what you do today? And how has that changed over the last couple of years?
Well, when I teach my coaching clients, so whether it's in group coaching or one-on-one coaching, we have, like I mentioned, a program called 30K Income Secrets, where we help business owners get to that 30K per month in their online business, whether they're just starting out or even if they've been in business for a while now. That's like one of the sort of the breakthrough point is 30K per month. If you're making 30K per month in your online business, then you're basically at that level that what we normally see as a freedom lifestyle, what most people call a freedom lifestyle. And then, we have a program called Noah's Inner Circle, which is where a one-on-one 12-month group coaching, or one-on-one and group coaching. But, what I teach and the system that I have really refined now over these last couple of years, but I've been doing for a very long time, but I've just refined it over the last year, is what we call the authority cycle formula. So the authority cycle is really a 5-stage process and a 5-stage formula or system. And the 5 stages are what I call having $1 million beliefs, $1 million habits, $1 million offers, $1 million funnels, and then $1 million traffic. Okay, so when you look at your beliefs, habits, offers, funnels, and traffic, that's basically everything that you need to do to succeed online today, right? And so what's so funny is I call that the inner game and the outer game of success. Now, here's what I mean by that. The inner game is everything that happens between your ears that you can't see directly, but it affects everything that you do, right? So when I'm talking on my virtual keynote speeches or private group coaching, or even my private workshops, I often say to my audiences, what is one area of your life where your beliefs don't affect you? Where don't your beliefs affect you? And people go, and I go, exactly. There's no place your beliefs don't affect you, right? Your beliefs affect your health, your wealth, your finances, your business, your relationships, your energy, everything that we've been talking about, right? But you can't see a belief. You can only see the effects of a belief, right? And also you can be doing really well in one area, but you can be stuck or struggling in another. For example, maybe, your relationships are going really well, but your business is struggling. Or you got, making good money, but your health is suffering, right? So it's not cookie cutter, one size fits all. We really have to, that's why we take each person and each team, each scenario individually, right? So that's your inner game, but then your outer game is everything you can see directly, right? So that's where we come to your offers, your funnels, your traffic, what most would call the digital marketing, right? Or online marketing. But here's the funny thing, John, is that, when you look at the gurus out there, they're teaching marketing, right? They're saying marketing, and that will solve every problem. Now, they have a point. They're not exactly wrong. Okay, there's a grain of truth there because, of course, if you have a great product or service and you don't have the right marketing in place, well, it's kind of like having a great restaurant in the middle of the Sahara Desert. You're like, wow, I got this restaurant and why isn't anybody here? Well, that's because nobody knows where it is, right? Nobody can find it, right? And so, yes, of course you have to have that, but here's the problem. Most people, based on my 20 years of experience as someone who's helped people make over $2 billion, as someone who's helped people add 6, 7, and 8 figures to their business over the last 20 years, what I realized is that most people just don't think they can do it. They just don't think they can do it. They're like, yeah, it sounds great for them, but yeah, it probably won't work for me, right? So that goes back to another, thing that I teach a lot in another book that I wrote called Your Head Trash. Right. And actually your viewers can get this book for free. We have a website called sendmeabooknoah.com, sendmeabooknoah.com. And you can get this book for free. It's called Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money. So we can put that in the show notes if you want. But anyway, so my point is that because most people just don't think they can do it, they don't believe in themselves. They have what I call head trash, right? And nobody's talked to them about it. So many people that I talk to and people who end up hiring me say, Noah, I've tried all this other marketing stuff, but nothing ever worked. And that's because the gurus never talked about your inner game. They just basically treated you like themselves, so meaning they didn't have head trash. They didn't believe they couldn't do it, right? They're like, well, of course I can do it. Here, let's just go make $1 million kajillion dollars. No problem, right? Well, that's great for you, but what about the rest of us? See, so what many people say about my work is that, I'm like the bridge that bridges the gap between the haves and the have-nots, if you will. But more than that, it's the believe and the believe-nots. You see, most people just don't believe they can do it, and they'll fight for that. They'll fight for the fact that, oh, Noah, you don't understand. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I don't have the money. I can't afford it. I've tried everything. They'll fight for their limitations. And when you fight for your limitations, guess what? You own them. And so that's one of the things that we help people with. So that's one of the reasons that my clients make so much money so quickly, because we're treating you like a human, not like a robot, not like a cyborg, which, let's just face it, a lot of the gurus seem to be. And again, I'm not putting them down. It's a compliment to them, but it doesn't help the rest of us. So that's where the bridge comes in, getting rid of your head trash. That's what enables people to have these incredible transformations.
That's amazing. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced over the last couple of years, and how did you get to this point where now you're inspiring others to take action?
Well, I think the biggest problem that I've had is exactly what I just said, which is not believing in myself. Why do you think I've written 15 books on the subject? And so, I did. I took a lot of bad advice. I paid a lot of money to a lot of gurus before I really figured out that they can't teach their way out of a paper bag. They're really just not helpful. Again, it's great for them, but it's not good for the rest of us. So I spent literally over $500,000 over the last 10 years. Come only to find out that the gurus literally suck at teaching. They are sucky teachers. They just can't teach. They're great self-promoters, but they can't teach their way out of a paper bag. And so what I finally did was I just sat down and said, okay, what have I been doing that's working? What can I do more of, and how can I scale it? And that's how I literally came up with it was kind of staring me in the face. That's what was so ironic about it, is I've been doing and teaching what we now call the authority cycle, which is what, I teach in my group coaching and one-on-one coaching, that 5-stage process that I mentioned a moment ago. And so I'm like, oh, that's what I've been doing. Oh, that's why it's working. Why don't I teach that? Great idea. There you go. The old, slap on the side of the head type of thing. But that's really what I've been able to do, is really dial in the beliefs, the habits, the offers, the funnels, and the traffic. And what I will say to everyone watching and listening to this program is that if you're lacking any one of those, your business is going to be struggling, or maybe even stuck, or might even go out of business, right? Just like I was talking about earlier about, all those multi-billion-dollar companies that really through no fault of their own went bankrupt. But I say no fault of their own, meaning they just didn't pivot. They didn't adapt, and they weren't ready for this, new reality that we are in, which is where you have to have an online sales process and an online delivery mechanism. But really, really drilling down deeper, you have to have those 5 elements: the beliefs, the habits, the offers, the funnels, the traffic. If you don't have those, there's no question that your business is going to be stuck or struggling. So that's now what we're really dialed in on, and we're seeing some amazing results. Just a quick example. We had one client who came to us well, actually, let me tell you another. This is a better one. This is a better example. I had one when I was speaking in Los Angeles a couple of years ago, and I was speaking for about 1,000 entrepreneurs. It's, very high level group. And I just finished my presentation talking about literally what I'm talking about right now, sharing with you. And I was walking off the stage, and a man came up to me and he said, Noah, I want to hire you as my coach. You are the coach that I've been looking for. Now, I didn't know this man from Adam. Ironically, his name was Adam. And so I said, okay, what's going on? He says, Noah, I'm totally stuck. I'm only making $4 million a year. Now, of course, I had to laugh, right? Who wouldn't want to be stuck at $4 million a year, right? That doesn't sound like a big problem, does it? So I said that to him. I said, well, gee, that doesn't sound like a big problem. He goes, Noah, no, you don't know. You don't understand. I'm the CEO of a company, and we grew to 4 million in revenues really fast, but we've been stuck. We've been plateaued at 4 million in sales for the last 4 years. 4 years we've been stuck at the same level. He says, I've hired every guru out there. He named all the big names, all the big name coaches, all the famous dudes that we know, right? And he said, I spent all this money, but we're still stuck. And he said, as soon as I heard you speak about head trash and your foot on the brake and your authority side, everything you just said, he said, I knew you were the coach for me. So he literally hired me on the spot. I worked with him for about 2 years. In that 2 years, John, his company went from being stuck at 4 million in revenues for the previous 4 years to over $20 million in sales, less than 2 years. So how did I do that? I did it by sharing with what I'm sharing with you right now, just digging deep and going into the system, giving him the right plan, the right tools. But most importantly for him was getting that support, getting the support from, a mentor who could really just look at his situation objectively, but look at him as a whole person, both the inner game and the outer. He'd only been focused on outer game, right? And so again, it's not wrong, but if you've only been focused on the marketing part of your business and maybe you're stuck, maybe it's time to look at both inner game and outer game. So that worked for him.
Yeah, I love that, right? You giving examples and stories and actual proof, right? And that's what people want. They want experiences that they are going through at their pivotal moment. And if you are stuck as a business owner or an entrepreneur or a CEO, like Noah is your guy. It sounds like he knows his stuff. He has a lot of good track record type clients, and proof is in the pudding, right? Vet them, call some of those references. I'm sure he will share it, right? And if someone is afraid to share some of their clients, then that's a red flag altogether, right? People are going to sell you. And a lot of people spend a ton of money in this coaching world, right? Mentoring, coaching, and they're self promoters. They're out there spending a lot of money advertising. And why aren't they spending more of their money building systems, processes, people, support, and actually knowing how to get good results? Because ultimately, you're paying for results. You're not paying for a chance to hear about him and his success stories, right? You care about yourself, right? So
Right.
that's what you need to uncover as a business owner to really figure out, why are you using this supplier or you need this product or service. It's because they're going to save you time, be more productive, get things, better results, becoming more efficient, whatever it is. Once you discover that, then you're going to try it. You're going to seek it out, make use of it, and hire people to run it, right? So that's how you scale and grow a business. And it's interesting to hear because I've kind of like just bootstrapped my company. I enjoy every process, this entire process, right? And it's fun. I love it. There's challenges, and I love this because I'm talking to someone that knows what they're talking about with good track record, and that's what inspires me to keep doing what I'm doing because it allows me to have clarity on why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like keep adding value, making an impact, building a community, enjoying what I'm doing, and just helping. Right? Like it's simple foundational stuff that's all you need in life. Like just do good. Don't
Absolutely.
put too much pressure on yourself. Like yes, change, pivot, all this stuff, but just be happy and content and do good. And like I don't know, surround yourself with good people, good habits, bad habits. Push more to the good habits, health, exercise, all that good stuff. Right? I love it. Um, Tips. What would you tell some of these business owners? Because for you, I know you wrote a ton of books. You're now doing this coaching. You've been, helping so many entrepreneurs and business owners. What are three of the most important tips that you would give maybe someone that is struggling to hit 30K a month, or someone that is like a CEO that's only generating 4 million that wants to get to 20?
Right, absolutely. So it's really, actually, it is a three-step process that we share, right away with our coaching clients. And I share this a lot of times with media partners that I work with. So the first thing that you can do, number one, is identify where it is you want to go. All right. So where is it you want to go? Do you want to hit that 30K a month? Do you want to hit that $1 million? Wherever it might be, where do you want to go? Number one. Number two, identify why you're not there right now. Now there are really only three reasons why you're not where you want to be. The first is a knowledge gap. The second is a skills gap. And the third is a belief gap. Now, what I mean by that is a knowledge gap means I don't know what to do to reach my goal. The skills gap is I don't know how to do it. And the third is a belief gap, which is what I was talking about a moment ago, which is I really don't think I can do it. Now, most people won't admit that, right? So that's why, again, when you look at Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money, at sendmeabooknoah.com. That's a free book. I've paid for the book. We just asked you to cover the shipping. But the point is that belief gap is the number one thing holding most people back. And then the third step you can take is just what action are you going to take to overcome the gap? Whether it's a knowledge gap, a skills gap, or a belief gap, what am I going to do? Am I going to read a book? Am I going to go on YouTube? Am I going to hire a coach? Am I going to join this coaching program? Whatever it is, you got to take action because it's not just going to magically change, right? We all know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, right? So we've got to do something different. But the great news is you are in control of that. You are in control of the actions you take. You're in control of your thoughts, your words, and your actions. So if you take different actions, you're going to get different results. And it's very important that you take actions that support you going from where you are to where you want to be. So that way you can overcome whatever gap might be there and reach your goals like 10 times faster, a lot of times with a lot less effort.
Amazing. Regarding technology and how that's played with this pivotal transformation of user behavior, right? There's so many new advances with new technology, apps, software. Um, how does a business owner navigate through this and figure out what's best for them at this time of my career in business?
Yes, absolutely. There are a trillion tools out there, and it is definitely overwhelming. So there, that goes back to what I was just saying a moment ago. Is where do you want to go? What is it you want? Identify the tools to get there. Now that can be a YouTube search. I mean, that a tool is a relatively simple thing, right? But the key that you're not going to get on YouTube is really the insight of how to use the tool. Maybe, let's just say it's a tool to do better, Facebook ads or YouTube ads or whatever it might be, some kind of tool like that. You could probably learn that on a YouTube video, how do I do this, or how to do ClickFunnels or something like that. You could probably do that. But if it's really the in-depth, the really getting the plan, they're probably not going to give you that. They're just going to use, here's how to use this tool, but they may not give you the overall plan of how to build a house. So it might be like the analogy might be, here's how to fix your car, but they might not help you drive from New York to Los Angeles, right? That you might, take that journey, you might need that help from, a coach, a mentor, just having that person in your corner, like I was saying, like with Mickey and Rocky, right? So they're having that person in your corner, massaging your shoulder, saying, you can do it, champ, but also really helping you navigate all the different roads that you might have to go on.
That's amazing. So currently, I know we're living on this digital world and we're doing a lot of Zoom conferences. How has that impacted your business as opposed to live events? And have you found it was an easy transition, pivot? Um, have you been able to make the same difference or impact getting awareness and content out there to your audience members?
Well, I have the same birthday as Charles Dickens, February 7th. He was born 155 years before me. He was born February 7th, 1812. I was born February 7th, 1967. So one of my favorite Charles Dickens quotes is, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times." And that's really what we're facing right now, right? Of course, I've lost two people that were close to me, one family member and a dear friend from the COVID, from the virus. So certainly those are awful times, and it hurts really bad. But the best of times are the fact that, this was one of our most profitable years that we've had. And I didn't have to travel anywhere. I really love not traveling. I really love staying home and being able to reach people around the world through this wonderful tool called the internet. So it's really been a blessing for me. And it's been a blessing for our clients, some of whom would not have been able to come to our live events. We used to have live events in Las Vegas, Orlando, all over the country. Well, now here we are on Zoom, but guess what? We have people from around the world who now probably wouldn't have come to Vegas or Orlando. So, it's really been amazing. But we were able to pivot very quickly and easily because I've been online since 1997. I've been online for over 2 decades. So for me, it was very easy. And of course, a lot of people now are hiring me. I was saying, hey, Noah, can you help me get online, right? Either start or grow or scale my online business because I've been doing it for so long. I've helped so many people do it. So as someone who's been doing it for over 2 decades, yes, I'm able to help people get there very, very quickly, much more quickly than, some of these new guys who may not have seen all the different changes that I've seen. So it has been, the best and the worst of times. Really.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear because from experience, right? And that's what I always talk about. No one can beat a real life experience versus reading books or watching videos or listening to podcasts. I mean, go out and do it. Learn from people that have actually done it. Make sure they connect with you on a personal level. They are actually in it for the right reasons. These things you only learn from doing and meeting as many people as possible, right? And engaging with people. So I love that. So what's going on right now? Like in terms of your business, your personal life, what are some of the pillars that mold you and what's your lifestyle like today? Like you always talk about the freedom lifestyle, right? So what does your freedom lifestyle look like?
Well, right now we're actually buying and selling a house. So it's very, I'm getting calls, from my realtor and all this stuff. So we're in the process of, buying and selling this, moving into a new home. And it's very exciting. It's a beautiful home. So we're very excited about that. But really, I don't really work that much, and that's, kind of nice. So what I do is I get to talk with great people like you, do a lot of podcast interviews, media interviews, TV, radio, podcasts, and so forth, and of course help our wonderful clients around the world. So I've been able to do this. It's taken a lot longer than I would have liked, because I got a lot of bad advice. I listened to a lot of the gurus, and that really took me down a lot of bad roads, so I know how painful it can be. It is. I know how painful it is to, lose that time and lose that money. The nice thing is you can always get the money back, but the time you can't. So, what we want to make sure we do is help people really compress time, reach their goals, 3 to 5, even 10 times faster than they ever thought they could. Like one of our clients is a health professional up there in Canada. And, she wanted to take her family on a trip to the Grand Canyon. That's when, people were still traveling a couple of years ago. And she thought it would take her like 5 to 7 years to get there because she's got a big family, got 4 kids, it would be a big, big trip, right? But that was like her dream of a lifetime. Well, she thought it would take 5 to 7 years. We got her there in less than 18 months, because of putting in the systems and doing the work. So, that's really the benefit of working with someone who has been there, who has the experience, and who isn't trying to just shove you into a hole that maybe you don't fit into. So that's why it's very important that you work with someone who has a system, but isn't trying to change you into something you're not.
Yeah. And I think you fitting their lifestyle, right? Like you're helping them get to where they want to get to. And by listening, learning with good track record, you've been able to do that. And so that's why coaching with the right coach makes a big difference, not just any coach or any mentor, right?
Right.
There's so many out there and everyone's claiming to be the guru on Facebook, Instagram,
Right.
Anywhere online, but you need to vet. Just like I live in the SEO world, there's a lot of great SEO companies.
Right.
Get to really know the company, get to know the people to see if they're in the right frame mindset of helping you get to closer to your goals, right? So I love this conversation. Thanks a lot, Noah. So how can some of the listeners check you out online, reach you, message you, and get a copy of your book?
Yes, absolutely. So for the free book, just go to sendmeabooknoah.com. Easy to remember, sendmeabooknoah.com. So that's the Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money. The book is free. We just ask you to cover the shipping. My main website is noahstjohn.com. That's my name. So just NOAHSTJOHN. And if you want to check out our shop, you can just go to shopnoahstjohn.com. That'll lead you to all of our different online programs, my books, my audios, videos. So we really have everything from, one-on-one coaching, yearly coaching to like we have a 90-day sprint called 30K Income Secrets. That's 90 days. We really just hit it hard so you can get to that 30K per month, very, very quickly in online business. And then we have also do-it-yourself programs like Power Habits Academy, 6-Figure Machine. So all that at shopnoahstjohn.com. Very easy to find. And please do find me on social media and let me know that you heard me here on this podcast because we'll take great care of you and it'll be great to connect with all of you.
Amazing. Well, thanks a lot. It's been my pleasure to get to know you for an hour and have a great conversation. I really want to thank you for being on the show. And again, have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Noah.
Thank you. Thanks, John. Bye.